Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well today. Today we are going to be talking about rune level 100 and if it's really worth it to even go to this level and stay there. Now first things first, I will tell you this, that all of this footage has come from the PS4 character that I've been making. Essentially I've been playing on the PS5 version of Elden Ring this entire time, and it's only been as of recent that I realized that I could download the PS4 one as its own game, and it runs like a million times better. So I was planning on keeping the character at rune level 100. That way I could just revert my save back to 100 if I decided to go to a higher level. Because in theory, right, rune level 100 should be doing a couple pretty interesting things. Especially if you keep your upgrade levels at around like plus 20 and plus 8. See, the thing is that if you look at just the numbers alone, it should mean that you get a ton of activity, okay? Because not only is level 100 reaching pretty high up, close to 125, though I don't think quite there, and also grazing the rune level 90 players, but plus 8 on your special weapons means that you pair up to maxed out special weapons and also down some, and it should be the same with plus 20, scaling up all the way to plus 25. These are old stats that I'm kind of like going off of seeing like a year ago, so if these numbers are wrong, then please let me know. But that's the idea that I had, right? But I will be perfectly honest with you. Despite 100 being a pretty number, despite it seeming like a pretty good place to be able to make a build, in terms of it feeling like it's completed, but you do have to make sacrifices to get what you want, you would think that 100 would end up panning out pretty well. At least in my experience, it did not. And the reason why, I imagine there's a couple reasons why. So the first thing is that 100 is already so close to 125 that 125, for those that are not privy to it, is sort of the agreed upon meta level, especially for tournaments, and a lot of players that care about tournament viability on their characters will stay at 125. And then you'll also have people that go up to say like 139, that way they can get the 125 crowd and the level 150 crowd, right? So you have a lot of people that essentially just see it as, if you're going to go to 100, there's no reason to not just finish and go to plus 25, 125, excuse me. But the other thing that's hurting level 100 is the crowd that are pushing for rune level 80. I've made a video about rune level 80 before. Rune level 80 is a fantastic range to be able to get more honest invasions while also feeling like you're not doing anything overly dishonest, right? Like, if you play at low level, people absolutely flamed me for not liking low level twinks. Okay, you can do whatever you want. If you want to run Scarlet Rot at low level, be my guest. But, okay, every single person that I fought that was running those stupidly low builds was absolutely terrible at the game and was getting entirely carried by their statuses and their builds, okay? Do what you want. If you want to twink at level 25, do what you want. But I think that 99% of people that do that are just bad at the game. Okay, so anyway, the thing is that rune level 80 is a fantastic place for being able to make a build where you're going to get a lot of people that are still playing through the game. It's not too serious of a rune level, while also being a good level to where you can essentially run through the game yourself and get whatever you want, and not feel like you've really made any sort of like twink build because you have this specific in-game weapon. It's like you should already expect that around rune level 80, right? And then there are also people that like rune level 90. I personally don't have a rune level 90 character, but apparently it's a pretty similar situation and story as rune level 80. But the thing is that this kind of leaves rune level 100 in this weird place where it kind of doesn't have an identity, because the thing is that this PS4 character that I was going to keep at level 100, I'm just going ahead and moving it up to 125. And also, just a self-plug, if you want to see me build a legitimate dupe stash, the absolute most crazy thing on planet Earth, come check out the Twitch. It was at the beginning of the video. It's in my channel's bio. I stream at least 3 times a week unless something goes wrong, and it's always a good time, so come check it out. Yeah, the problem is that when it came to getting invaded, it would take a very long amount of time between invasions. Even with it being on stream and the ability of getting stream sniped by people that were watching, even considering, there was just hardly anybody that was invading me while I was playing. Not only that, but the thing is that when I would go to invade, it's not like it was actually any amount more noticeable, like the activity, in comparison to Rune level 80. It was about the same in terms of getting invasions, if not a little bit worse. It didn't feel overly different in terms of how the invasions played out, in my opinion. And then also, like, it's just really not as active as I was expecting. Like, you know, low levels insanely active, right? Because there's the majority of people that are playing through the game are going to get to around like level 20 or 30 and then perhaps not continue playing the game. So you kind of like meet them right as they're coming in the front door of Elden Ring and summoning friends and whatnot. But yeah, level 100 unfortunately just doesn't have much of an identity. Like on paper it looks like it's going to be really good, and then it just ends up not working out too well. And the thing is as well is that you do have the negative of essentially people that do have maxed out weapons that are going to be a higher level than you, because a lot of the people you're fighting they will be closer to meta level. You're just at an innate disadvantage the majority of the time. So whereas it mathematically should be resulting in a ton of really good action, it's just there really is no reason to stay at 100, unfortunately. And it's really sad too, because one of my absolute favorite builds just in the entire Souls series is my level 100 character from Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1, I absolutely love the PvP in Dark Souls 1. I know most people hate it, but see, real Chads like me appreciate the jankiness of Dark Souls 1. And even if I'm not very good at it, we do give it a fair shake, okay? But yeah, I had this build that was like 50 vigor, 40 endurance. Like, it was essentially like a standard build in that regard, but it didn't leave it for a whole lot in the way of like strength and dexterity. But it was mostly okay because you had access to things such as chaos and lightning weapons. Now, granted, chaos and especially lightning do not work the same as here in Elden Ring, whereas fire and lightning scale with strength and dexterity, respectively. Those two infusions in that game essentially took away the scaling of the weapon, and so lightning would just make any weapon sort of do like a below a strength or dex or whatever not build, but respectable enough that you can get away with like little stat investment. And then chaos weapons were sort of the same, but they also kind of scaled with humanity up to 10, which was really cool. So yeah, it was a super fun build, like plenty active. It felt like Dark Souls 1 rune level choices were more decentralized. And so, yeah, I mean, that it's just sad because it's like, it's such a pretty number to look at on your screen, you know what I'm saying? Like 100, it's like, it's perfect, because when someone's trying to like get into the game, they have questions to ask, and it's kind of what, you know, these videos about rune level have been trying to answer, is like, why do people go to 125? Why do people consider 150? Why do people go to rune level 80? Why do they go to any of these levels? Well, their mind probably sort of like defaults to like, oh, level 100's probably where the majority of the player base is at. And that's just not the case at all. The majority of the player base is at the lowest of levels, and then there is a huge amount of players that are in the upper echelon, the 300 plus, because it is a gigantic pool. Essentially in these games, once you reach a certain level, it's essentially like I think it's either 300 or 301 in Elden Ring. Like, essentially, you can just pair with everything above that. And by that point, like, I might make a video about max level someday just for the fun of it, but, like, I would never in a million years consider making a max level character, because notice that I said character. There's no such thing as a build when you have that many stats. You just have stats, okay? Big difference. A build implies sacrifices, right? But yeah, to get back on topic, I feel like you could make a rune level 100 character work much better in past Souls games. Probably not Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3, people usually stopped at rune level or soul level 90. Either that or they jumped up to 125. So probably the same situation for Dark Souls 3. But yeah, man, it's kind of unfortunate because I like pretty things and I like pretty numbers, and it just ended up not panning out. So with that being said, if you guys have your own personal experiences when it comes to this rune level, let me know down in the comments. Maybe it's just that I wasn't at it long enough and didn't give it that fair of a shake. I mean, I've been running through the entire game like this, but maybe I just had a bad sample group of invasions and host sessions and stuff like that. But with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.